Hello everyone, this is my reaction to yesterday's Inside Star Citizen Alpha 4.2 Into the Storm. This ISC was all about this one new mission we get in 4.2. There was a time I enjoyed Around the Verse, I enjoyed ISC. Nowadays I wouldn't even watch it if I wouldn't make a reaction video.
Get used to disappointment.
Here is all about taking the next step in exploration gameplay.
Exploration gameplay? Is this a joke? You're giving us one new mission with a few new locations and you call this exploration gameplay. Are you reading this from a teleprompter or is this really your opinion? I don't believe this.
Making exploration work in Star Citizen actually requires you to go out and build locations that players want to visit. That's what we're doing now.
Actually, exploration gameplay means you are getting your carrack or other ships, you fly out in the universe and you try to find new interesting things like new asteroids, new jump points. Something that is of course not in the game in year 13 after $1 billion in funding. Giving us a new mission with a few new locations and new buildings is not exploration gameplay, not to mention that CRG is just reusing assets for the most part. I'm convinced this was written by marketing and this guy is just reading from a teleprompter.
We were trying to push our FPS combat existing in-game and actually get players to feel like they're actually fighting for something.
Fighting for something? Yes, this is all CRG can do, combat. But CRG cannot even do combat decently enough.
So I want to be clear here, Stormbreaker isn't an event and it's not a mission. It is a sandbox activity. It will be persistent, it will keep happening. Every single patch you can come back and you can run this over and over and over again, just like you can the Align and Mine sandbox activity.
Elliot, you might want to learn what sandbox activity actually means. Sandbox activity does not mean to give players a few new locations and players have to create their own content. This is not sandbox activity, this is lowest possible effort. When CRG is using the words sandbox activity, they actually mean we don't know how to make interesting and engaging content. So instead we give you some goals like new weapons that you can only find in PvP, fight for resources, we give you weapons and ships, and we let you fight it out. This is not sandbox activity, Elliot.
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
I would like to point out I'm not the only one who thinks like this. There are countless of threads on Spectrum since this ISC aired. For example here, Zeta 13J, this is not sandbox, neither is exploration. This dude, Elliot, needs to play some real sandbox game to understand what that word even means. And the rest of the team, or whoever leads the way, needs to rethink what exploration gameplay should look like. Crafting and building are what we call sandbox. And here we have a thread that was removed by CRG. This is all that is left. I thought that exploration will involve some kind of beam, but it looks like it will be PvP. This thread by Edward Dragon. Dear devs, please stop using buzzwords in your marketing videos that don't describe what you are showing. None of what you showed could be considered exploration. None of what you showed is sandbox gameplay. Anti-proton, new patch, new poo, just what we all needed. Yeah, all CRG does is combat, and this not even well. Giza 53, dear CRG, to realize you are losing us. Dawn Phantom, exploration would be a broad selection of locations, not just two new points of interest with a main event. I stop here, there are lots of threads on Spectrum about this.
This is where ASD is storing a lot of their data, so you'll find a bunch of servers, and this is actively being guarded by security forces.
Keep this in mind, lots of data stored here, security forces. It's getting really silly very soon.
So if you want to explore the facility, you'll have to fight your way in. You'll find quite a few places in the facility that aren't that easy to get into.
Of course, more combat. Yes, I know I sound like a broken record. This all CRG can do in year 13 and not even well.
You will need to kill the enemies in the area to try to pass as one of them wearing their outfit.
And this is where it's getting totally cringe. To pass the scanners, you have to wear a lab coat. Really, CRG. This is what you came up with in year 13 after $1 billion in funding. Are you serious? How are you getting access to sensible areas in real life? Keys, keycards, codes, fingerprint readers, eye readers, or voice commands. You don't just put on a lab coat and suddenly you have access to a very sensible area in real life. That's so stupid.
It is just a simple door, but with this new mechanic, you can feel like Indiana, dressing as the enemies and go inside the enemy lines.
Access.
If you were to fly into the storm, you'll notice that your ship starts taking massive amounts of distortion damage. If you don't watch out, this can seriously mess up your ship.
Another silly new mechanic. Why should lightning hurt my ship? Airplanes can fly through lightning fine. Of course, they try to avoid it, it's not nice, but usually there are no problems. And distortion damage doesn't pass shields. Is CRG introducing now a new mechanic just for this new mission?
You'll quickly notice that you'll be affected by radiation damage.
So unless you've brought a load of rad pens, you're likely gonna die.
This is not how radiation works. You don't receive a deadly dose of radiation, use a radiation pen and now you're fine again. And what about long-term effects like mutations that can lead to cancer? Does this factor in death of a spaceman?
These shuttles are specially retrofitted to allow them to withstand the distortion damage, allowing employees and also players into the storm.
Yes, you heard it right. CRG is reusing Horizon shuttles. And those Horizon shuttles, those trams, are now supposed to be immune to distortion damage, while our big ships with big shields are not. I understand it's a game. Yes, but even a game needs some kind of logic, some kind of consistency, and there is never any found when it comes to CRG.
Your objective is to get inside as quickly as possible into the relative safety of the research base.
Let's take a look at the top comments on CRG's video. Exploration gameplay requirements, small SWAT team, full heavy armor, backpack full of ammo and medgun to stay alive. Took 34 seconds to turn exploration into PvP content. Good job, CRG. I'm convinced that if you had a mission in a game where you had to help a sick puppy, it would still involve a massacre. Exploration gameplay? Are you kidding? This entire activity is locked behind large orc PvP. They have already started locking it down, even in PTU, just like they have with every other area that holds exclusive loot. Who wants to explore an area where you get ganked the instant you arrive? If you wanted us to have a place to explore, then you wouldn't have forced us into PvP combat. I am starting to believe this is hopeless. CRG has no idea how to make fun and interesting content. Chris doesn't care about the PU, Chris only cares about eye candy, fluff, time sinks, cool cinematic and his interactive movie Squadron 42. I stopped buying ships 2 years ago. I wish I would have stopped way earlier. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye, auf Wiedersehen.
You asking me to speak frankly, sir?
Yes. Well, like,
Well, sir, it's just that you're incompetent, sir.
Hey, you're still here. You might want to join me on Twitter or on Blue Sky.